Hello there and good evening to you. My name's Wayne, I am the Lone Headbanger, and new face. Bit strange, I can't get used to it. It makes me look fatter, so I'm not sure how long it's going to stay and I'll grow the rest of it back, but I don't know, I thought I'd try something different. But yeah, how are we all? Hope we're all good. I've been at work all day and I've actually had to go into the office in the rain, so that was fun. But it was actually just nice to get out of the house and, see people socially distanced from across the office, kind of thing. It was a bit of a strange experience, but it's not been a bad day. Bit of stress first thing this morning when the internet went down, but we're all good. Managed to catch my work up, I think, so everything's okay. But I'm orange today, so anyway, I actually have a concept for this week. I've got two, in fact technically three, and I didn't know which way round to do them, but I'm going to go with my original plan, and this week I'm going to cover two things, and that is love and death. And I'm trying to work out which one's more depressing. But I'm going to start with love. Obviously I'm old, free and single, as you do. And it's been my opinion for a while now is that because obviously I'm slightly unhinged. Well, yeah, a little bit damaged. I'm recovering, I'm working on myself. And, because of that, I was adamant that I didn't want to launch into another relationship, like, anytime particularly soon. I didn't want to date or anything, because it wasn't fair to inflict my illness on someone else. Which I think a lot of people do take that angle, which is fair enough. Because obviously, it's like I've said before, if you're in a relationship, it shouldn't be a project. It shouldn't be something that you're aiming to complete. It's not like you're building a house, you should like that person for who they are. And so obviously, inflicting my current personality on someone, with the way the meds are at the moment, and and the swings and everything, and the tiredness, it's a bit of a strange situation, and it's not a true reflection of who I am. However, in saying that, I read something on, I think it was on Facebook the other day, that made me think a little bit deeper, a little bit more about that kind of angle. And the right person will know that you aren't who you normally are, and that you are working through stuff on your own, and rather than trying to work on you as a project, they will simply support you through words, through the odd conversation, small things. And obviously, with regard to social distancing and stuff, we can't really meet up with anyone at the moment, which is frustrating. I don't know how many people are getting into relationships at the moment without breaking the rules, but that's on their conscience, not on mine. But I thought about that and I was like, well, you know what, there's some logic in that. And I think love's one of those weird things. It can come at you unawares, and it can come from nowhere and at any time. You might randomly talk to someone in the street or something like that, or you might see someone at work and strike a conversation, and that could end up being your lifelong partner. It's one of those things. I don't think you should actively deny yourself the opportunities just because you are working on yourself at the moment. As long as if you do strike up a conversation, it does get to that point where you want to take the next step together. As long as the other person is aware of what's going on and they're fine with it, then just go for it. I don't think you should limit yourself in that respect. It might be just my loneliness talking, to be honest, because while I am enjoying being on my own to a degree, at the same time, I am kind of missing the companionship of having someone there you know, to share everything, to share things with daft things, you know, to share things with, you know, like my, you know, any little accomplishments that I do. You know, it was nice just to be able to text somebody and go, oh, I've done this, and the same coming back. You know, they would text me with their accomplishments. I'd be able to go, yes, well done, you're doing it, you're good. I just kind of miss that. And I know you can do that with friends, but I don't know. I find like a relationship is a different thing. You know, it's you know, the stuff you can share is different, and you know, things you can say to each other are different. And I guess I just missed a little bit. I'm not desperate, and I'm not gagging for it before anyone starts. Sertraline is a known turner offer. It absolutely kills your sex drive, absolutely ruins it. So that's never been important to me much anyway. I'm all about the companionship. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. It made me feel a little bit more positive about the situation. Go, well, you know what? So if I do find, if someone I do like happens to wander into my life, I'm not just going to turn and go, no, I am working on myself. I am a mess. Get away from me. Because then you're just robbing yourself of a potentially great opportunity. And if the right person comes along, they could be the person to give you the push that you need. That's my thoughts on love at the moment. As it stands, you know, this is relevant now. You know, in a year's time, that may be completely different. But that's where words. That's where we are, where I am now. And the other one was death. Now, I attended a funeral on Friday for my friend, Big Phil Hutton, and I cried. It was always going to happen, you know. It was a sad occasion. It was a nice occasion though. We, you know, social distancing in the church, and you know, we got to socially distance, meeting of the family and stuff outside, and it was just great to just see some friends who I haven't seen for a while, you know, and just have a chat, have a talk, and you know, reminisce a little bit. I mean, my anxiety was playing me up a little bit, so I didn't say a lot, but it was nice to hear people's voices and to see faces and things, and that was great to have that. It's just a pity that it took such a sad occasion to bring us together, but you know what you're going to do. But it got me thinking about death. As I've probably mentioned in my other videos, I have no fear of death. I have fear of long drawn out pain and suffering unto death, which some people call life. But I've got no, like, if I winked out of existence right now, I would not be too bothered, you know. So, but I think that's only because of what I think of coming next. Now, I was raised as Jehovah's Witness. However, ever more recently, I've moved further and further away from that religion, or any religion for that matter. You know, I certainly haven't practiced said religion in a long time, because I simply can't see how such a caring and benevolent creator, if there was one, would stand for all this suffering. And it's all very well saying, oh well, we're nearly at the end, and it's like, well, we should have been at the end after World War II, surely. So I don't understand why all this suffering if we're supposed to be nearing the end. So that's my take anyway. But with death, I'm always comforted by the thought that, you know, that there isn't a hell, then, that you just snap into nothingness and you just drift. And I've always been content with that, because it's just like eternal rest without a dream. It's like, you know what, no more struggles, no more suffering. I'm fine with that. You know, the way my mind's working at the moment, and the way I see the world, is the bad outweighs the good. And I can't see things getting better if it's greed or anything like that. You know, the world is surrounded with greed, corruption, stupidity, arrogance, and it doesn't do me any favours. So I'll be glad to the back of it. But as I said, I mean, death doesn't really bother me. You know, we pass on, and something I thought of the other day which made me smile. Now, utterly fictional, obviously, but maybe something you can adapt to yourselves. I don't know, maybe something to help you deal with grief. Was Big Phil came to Bloodstock with us a few times, and he was a little bit worried about coming on his own the first time. I remember he said, "Oh, I'm in the campsite. Where are you?" And I was looking around. And I thought, he's like, "I'm by this big tent," and I was looking around. And I was looking at the path. And I was like, "Where on earth is he?" And then he tapped me on the shoulder, and he was actually stood right next to me. I was like, "Oh, I don't wear my contact lenses at festival, so I didn't have a chance." But I introduced him to the group we call Camp Civil, and he fitted right in. He was utterly at home. We camped with them a couple of times afterwards, and he just slotted in like he'd always been there. And we had some great times. And now that he's gone, it made me think of another person who used to come to Bloodstock with us called Richard Moran, or Moran even, get the pronunciation right, who sadly took his own life a few years back. Strangely enough, their birthdays follow each other. It was Phil's on the 1st of January, and I think it was Richard's on the 2nd of January, so that's a bit odd. But I just thought about, you know what, those two are both members of Camp Civil, and what if they're up there now on a ghostly version of Catton Park Fields, you know, in our usual Camp Civil spot behind the Samaritans, ironically enough. And, you know, they just sat there in the camping chairs with a couple of ciders and just waiting for the rest of us to turn up at that eternal festival. And you know what? I was like, you know, that the thought of that just made me beam, and the thought of you know, a bit like the end of Titanic, if you like, where you know everyone's waiting for Rose to appear and they're all around the clock. It was like that. It was like, you know, the thought that one day, you know, the Camp Civil group and, you know, all the others we'll all be there at that eternal festival, and, you know, watching bands and you know, enjoying ourselves. I just thought, you know, that's such a nice thought, and obviously it's not realistic, but it really helped me get through the day. And I was like, yep, so Phil and Dub, Rich, are there waiting for us, and one by one we'll all go and grab a camp chair and a beer and talk nonsense with them and go and watch bands and have a headbang, and, you know, and that thought just cheered me a little bit. And at the end of the day, you can believe in that if you want to, because in the day there's enough people to believe in God, and, you know, they believe in paradise on earth and heaven, and it's like, well, your version of paradise is different to mine. Mine would be that Bloodstock in the sky. And I don't know, I just thought that really comforted me, and it made me feel quite, as daft as it is, it's something, I don't know if it was just something that my overactive imagination dredged up to make me feel better, but it really helped. But yeah, so death now, whenever I think about it, if it's one of the Camp Civil guys, God, you know, touch wood, we'll be taking our time going up there. But just the thought of, you know, just going up there and having that eternal party. Oh God, an eternity of bin jousting. Oh, what a horrible thought. Anyway, I've waffled on a little bit. I just wanted to try and bring out those two reflections. Yeah. So next week, if I'm thinking about it, the subject for next week is going to be letting go, which again will deal with grief, but other things as well. And I'll try and put a positive spin on, like I usually do. Try and put a positive angle on stuff. But anyway, I'm already approaching overtime, so thanks ever so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing and listening to me talk nonsense on a weekly basis. As always, feedback is absolutely welcome. Please chuck it at me. And yeah, any recommendations for what you want me to talk about in the future, again, this way. Comment on YouTube, get me on Facebook, get me on Instagram. Yes, I do have an Instagram as well. So yeah, by all means, get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. Really would. But for this week, that's it, and I'll finish as I always do. It's throwing it down with rain outside, so I'm going to go and listen to that for a while, just chill myself out. But yeah, horrible world out there. But I believe if we stay strong and we stay safe, then we can get through it. And I will see you next Wednesday. Have a good one.